Hi everyone. We all have been making some pretty profound choices the past months. Um, Most of us who are watching these type of videos have come to realize that the path of self-realization is the path to take. It has not been an easy choice because indoctrination and identification with the roles that we have been taught for centuries are embedded in our very DNA. The role of the parent, the role of the employee or the employer. There are so many roles that we have played, especially as old souls. We have played so many roles. And the word's already saying it is a role. It's not the authentic real self that we have been living. But the past couple of years we have been remembering and we have been facing our true selves, and we have been crunched and molded by source until we became really clear of our path. So today I want to talk about this path of self-realization. It's a very old path. It goes down thousands and thousands of years. Many souls have walked this path. Some have walked it in an ashram, others in a satsang setting. But I feel today's today we can walk the path of self-realization amongst everyone in society, just living. There's not really a lot that needs to be changing when you realize the path of self-realization is the path to take for you. We may be working the same jobs, we may be living in the same area, we maybe still have children, or we may be just living alone, and we still remain doing the same, only our focus has shifted tremendously. So a lot of sacrifices have been made. I feel them, and I'm guessing you guys also feel the sacrifices that you had to be making to strengthen your bond with the path of self-realization. Last week, last weeks have been a tremendous purging of grief, letting go of the old karmic ties that still bound us to our separated selves. It could be karmic soul contracts with people that we need to wrap up, or stories, narratives we have been telling ourselves all our lives that we needed really to wrap up in order to step up our game. And some of it can also feel as a profound relief, because it hasn't always only been grieving and anxiety that's that has been playing on the foreground. If we end up narratives about ourselves, for instance, that we are not worthy of love, or we are not worthy of peace in our lives, and we wrap this narrative up, you can feel the tremendous peace and space it gives us, the expansion. So, as I already was talking about in the previous video, it's both worlds that we're still juggling, and on the one hand, we already, lots of our presence is and there are those separate cells that are still nagging. And I don't know about you guys, but the moment that we have letting go of so many identifications, so many patterns, we start to come in this place of emptiness. There's a void of anything, there is no drama, there is no ups and downs, like those really egoic stories going on in our minds, and we come into this tranquil space. And this is where we really need to become very present, because ego is allergic for this. So the more, especially in this time frame where we're in right now, we have done tremendous purging. So the few identifications or narratives that are still left in us will become incredibly smart and intelligent to push us back into separateness, push us back into survival. My life has become completely void of drama, outside of myself as well, inside of myself. But there is this trap of the separate self. There is still a separate self that is trying to find something. What is wrong? There's something wrong, or maybe we feel that there is a tendency to the next moment, that we feel that this moment as it is not right, that the separate self is active in the search for the next thing to come, unable to rest in this deep presence, silence, emptiness we are feeling lately. I even caught myself in some moments where I purged a lot of identifications and narratives, and then I see people still acting on those very things that I've let go of, and the ego gets jealous, and it's like, why can I not do this anymore? Why? It starts feeling sorry for themselves. Do you recognize that? You see people still doing the same stuff they have been letting go of, and there is this separate self that is feeling sorry that it doesn't get its candy anymore. It's not getting its fix anymore. But the moment we start observing that separate self, seeing it playing out its story. We know better. We know what we are moving towards. Separate self will never understand what self-realization is, will never grasp source, because it's a separate entity. And that's okay. These patterns have been hibernating inside of our DNA for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Ancestral patterns are popping up like crazy right now. They are really in our face, demanding our attention. And we might ask ourselves, am I going to perpetuate these patterns, or am I going to let go of what is not nourishing anymore, of what is not encouraging us to fulfill our path to self-realization? So sitting with a lack of drama, sitting with the lack of big ups and downs. Yes, I think that is the biggest um, challenge for us right now, to accept and endure this tranquil peace. And I think a lot of you will recognize it if you listen to it. Like, how is it possible that we are unable to be in presence, to that we are unable to be in a void of drama, a void of um, ups and downs, void of narratives that we tell ourselves every day. It would be paradise, wouldn't it, if we would hear this mentally? But the sad thing is that our biggest fear isn't drama and pain. Our biggest fear is coming to self-realization. Our biggest fear is to stand in our power. Our biggest fear is to really start living our essence. So we have to be this gatekeeper. We have to start being the gatekeeper. We have cleaned our house. We have tossed all these nasty identities out and narratives out. We swept it out. We cleaned the house. It's becoming a pretty nice house to stay in, you know. At least for me, I've become pretty good friends with myself. It's clean. It's starting to be cozy, become cozy and nice for Source to really integrate into, embody this house. Source is really going like, you've done a great job. I want to live in this house. It's not so filthy anymore, and that's beautiful, you know. Source is really expanding in us because we have done the work. But it's not going to remain there if we now start dropping everything and pretending we're there. We need to remain very present. We need to remain the gatekeeper of our house every single day. so it's not getting filthy, and we keep on expanding ourselves. And I'm also experiencing within the last couple of years, it is a solitude path. Everybody who is walking the path of self-realization is a path of solitude. And what I mean, I cannot explain this enough. What I mean with a path of solitude is not that you're becoming a hermit. That's not at all what it means to walk a path of solitude. A path of solitude means that we're not identified with external things anymore. We are not depending on people anymore. We are really standing on our own feet and rooting ourselves in deep presence. That is what solitude means. Being in silence. Being in silence. And to go further in what I'm wanting to explain is in the beginning it felt very lonely, because what the ego loves above all else is compare itself. The ego thrives on seeing itself back in the mirror of another. That's called friendship. Friendship is nothing more. Ram Dass explained it so beautiful. He said, friendship is how do you say that? Is seeing each other's costume and praising the other person for it. It's like two egos who still are in some kind of narrative, and we are affirming. That's the right word. We are affirming, yes, the reality that you live in, and the other is doing that too. And so we are friends because we upholding each other's narratives. But that's not walking a path of solitude. Solitudal, is that even a word? Solitudal living. Living in solitude means that we are engaging with people, but we are not affirming each other's narratives anymore. We are not bonding through identification, through trauma, through narratives. Oh, you like animals? Oh, I like them too. Oh, so we are friends now, you know? And the moment we stop comparing, the moment that we let go of this tendency of the separated self to see its reflection back in the outside world, at first we will experience a sense of loneliness. It's an illusion, it's a fake loneliness, because were we ever really home by putting on costumes and meeting situations and people who are mirroring the same costumes back towards us? Is that a real homecoming? No, it never was. But for the ego, it feels like a deep loss. And this is a deep grievance that I had to allow myself to go through really profoundly, without judging it in a positive or negative way. Because then if I would do that, I would start all over believing this narrative again. But it is a deep mourning process, and I feel the experience of loneliness is getting more on the background. Um, my connection to source is getting stronger and stronger, and I feel this is where my real home is. This is where everybody's real home is. And that gives peace. I also experienced tremendous exhaustion, as you guys surely have seen over the past months in my videos. And this is the exhaustion of finally resting in presence, resting in source. When we have been searching for the next moment, the tendency for the next moment, when we have been searching for wholeness, searching for peace, love, truth outside of our true self. It is an exhausting expedition. And when the soul truly starts coming home, you see that also in daily life. People who have worked all their lives and then they go with pension and they start feeling it all. Everything's come to the surface, sickness, emotions, you name it. And this is what a lot of souls are going through, including myself right now. This deep rest that we are experiencing at the moment. So we finally get to feel the deep exhaustion, and it's not even the exhaustion of our life, it's the exhaustion of ancestral repetition of survival, believing in the illusion. Rest, you guys. Feed the silence inside of your true self. Mourn, grieve. Just love it all. Much love.